Personal branding is one of the most important things for real estate agents. You are your brand, but so many agents still struggle to convey who they are through their online presence. However, if you think about any of your favorite entrepreneurs, whether it be like Ryan Serhant in the real estate space, Gary Vaynerchuk in the entrepreneurial space, or any entrepreneur for that matter, even sports figures, what you'll see is all of them have a powerful personal brand that's consistent across the board, that is authentic and commands attention. So what I want to do today is actually show you exact examples of how you can create a powerful, compelling, authentic personal brand that shows who you truly are online across the board through every social media platform and your physical marketing as well, to ensure that no matter where somebody comes across you, they're gonna have a consistent experience and see that you are truly a cut above any other agent in your market. What's up guys, it's Mike Sharp. Welcome back to another video, and this is my favorite topic of all. It is true to heart and hits home because personal branding is exactly how I scaled my business as a brand new agent, differentiating myself with the purple branding and quality that was just simply a cut above, but also simultaneously very consistent across the board. And I want to help you get that same experience so that when people see you, even if you're a brand new agent, you look like you're on a completely different level than anybody else in your market. Now, if you do like any of the information that I share with you today and the examples that I'm about to walk through, just feel free to check the link in the description and you'll see a ton more of examples and a full portfolio, as well as an opportunity for you to book a call to find out more about how you can get your branding done so that you look even better than you think you should online. So without further ado, let's walk into these examples, and what you're going to see are multiple examples fully broken down of different agents' personal brands that are unique to them, and I'm going to walk through them and explain how they were created, why they were created, and what makes them unique, so you can get a bit of an idea of how you can get the same done for yourself.
All right guys, so we're going to walk into absolutely everything here. As you can see, from digital marketing, from social media platforms across the board, including physical marketing for sales signs, brochures, everything you need to do in order to create a successful personal brand as a real estate agent that is just a cut above anybody else in your market. Now, one of the things, because I noticed 3 additional tabs up here, is that I'm going to be walking through 3 examples, very different examples, to show you some comparison and contrast between them, because we're going to walk through each element step by step so that it's very easy to follow. And by seeing one person that's very luxury, one that's more professional and traditional, and one that is a female, you're going to see a very good example across the board of different styles of branding that you might be able to emulate for your own. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is starting up here with the brand style sheets. This is what builds the foundation of your personal brand. You need this in order to get the thing started, because this is going to be where everything else builds off of. So first, let's dive into Jazz. Now, we did Jazz's branding, and again, if you guys want to know how you can get your branding done, again, all the information is in the description. Here we go with the brand style sheet. So the first thing you can see is every agent needs a good headshot that relates to them. Now, I'm not saying that you need a headshot that is a suit and tie, very traditional real estate-y, but you need something that, again, relates to your brand. So step number 1, we've got the professional headshot here with the name and the title. But what are the elements that are included on a brand style sheet? The first thing is going to be the logo variant. So an agent can either have a logo that's sort of a symbol, or they can have a logo like Jazz here that also, he does have a symbol, but is a name logo, because this is very easy to put on business cards, on signage, on anything, but having the logo variants is very important. Now, step number 2 is the color palette. Now, what you'll see with the color palette is a couple different things. Number 1, it includes the exact hex codes of these specific colors. Now, why that's important is because let's look at this gold, for example. There are endless different shades of gold. And what I see a lot of agents doing, which is a very unfortunate mistake, is that they choose one shade of gold, which could be this one here. And then what happens after the fact is they go do a different design and use a different shade. And then they do a different design and it's a different shade. So having the hex codes are very important because it's going to allow you to create that consistency across the board. Now, when creating your color palette, you want to make sure that these are colors that emulate the personal brand that you want people to acknowledge you for. So as you can see with Jazz, he's very luxury. So you can see the very royal blues, the golds, the white with a powerful color like red for something that, again, is more powerful. Now, when you're looking at choosing the colors, what you want to be doing is a bit of research on color psychology. That's why I chose purple, because purple emulates luxury, royalty. Those are the two things that I wanted to become recognized for in terms of the experience I provide my clients. Now, before we get into the comparisons of the other personal brands, the next two things that are really important is what you can see here, and that is the typography as well as the graphic elements. So for the typography, this is going to be your type font or the text you're going to use across the board. And again, having something that again aligns with your personal brand so that you're not using different styles of fonts on all these different platforms that are going to, again, not really create that consistency and not relate to your brand. But the next thing that again is important are these graphic elements. Now, the reason why the graphic elements are so imperative is because these are going to be the differentiating factors that allow you to differentiate yourself from other agents, as well as the things that are going to separate your content when you're looking at the details. So what we use these graphic elements for are, for example, YouTube thumbnails. If you see one of Jazz's YouTube thumbnails, and then it's on a certain topic, you go do a different research on a different topic, you will instantly notice his thumbnails because they always have the same graphic elements that differentiate him from other people that are using very basic Canva type designs. So these are the foundations of what you want to include on your brand style sheet, which is your photo or your headshot, the typography, the graphic elements, your colors, as you can see up here, your color palette, and the logos you want to be doing. Now, to give you some contrast to this, let's look at Nick. Nick is an incredible agent in my group, and let's kind of break his down before we go into the next thing, which is going to be the social media profiles. So with Nick, again, you can see it's a little bit different. It's a bit more traditional, not too over the top with luxury. And then when we look at his logo, you can see that there's a couple unique elements to Nick's that we did for him, where he always wears a tie, whether it be a traditional tie or a bolo tie like you see here. And the really cool part about this is we've incorporated that into his type logo. When we come down to the typography, you can see that his is much more classical than Jazz's, which was much more luxury. And then when we come down to the color palette, you can see that very traditional in the sense of the greens with the gold instead of a more royal blue with the gold. You can see that the gray, white, and black color scheme with the grayscale is a bit more soft and a bit more traditional than the powerful red that Jazz used. So these are a couple different things that you can see. And then we'll come down to the textures and see here that, again, really unique textures that align with Nick's branding that are very unique, completely different than what Jazz used. So again, this is going to differentiate him with all of his graphic elements. And then finally, if we come to our boss girl, Donica, who's an absolute superstar in our group, you can see again very different things. You again can see that she's got a type logo. We've got her color palettes, which have a bit more of a feminine style. It's very neutral, but it is erring on the side of the feminine with this sort of Tiffany blue type color with the yellows, which is a bit powerful and luxury, and then the grayscale again. Now, when we come down to the typography, you've got something that is a bit more gender neutral with Donica, which is really nice to see. And the graphic elements here, again, completely different than both Nick and Jazz, with her actual photo logo down here, completely different. And also you've got her logos down here as well, which is the type logo as well as the graphic logo. So now what we want to do is dive into step number 2, which is going to be the pillar graphics that you need for your social media platforms, which is your banners and your cover images. All right, so now let's dive into the graphic elements that you need to build the foundation on your social media platforms, the pillar platforms, and then we're going to go into actual posts. But this is what you need to actually get the pages up and running, which is the pillar platforms of Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, because these are all of the ones that require these graphic images for covers or banners, however you like to phrase it. Now, looking at YouTube, let's talk about a couple of the similarities that you're going to see across the board, but then pick out some of the elements that we took from the brand style sheet to again show you how these are incorporated. Number one, what you'll see on all of them is you will see a call to action on the right hand side, because the subscribe button is always down here just below the cover image of the banner on YouTube. So we want to have a call to action to call people to actually subscribe to you. And then on the left hand side, we've usually got something like a brokerage logo, a team logo, or who you serve in terms of your market center. And then in the middle, we've got your headshot as well as your name, some of the logo work that is specific to you in terms of the type logo, and then some contact information, or also what you'll see with some people is sort of like a mission statement or some sort of one-liner that relates to them. Now you can see here some of the background graphics that were included from the brand style sheet. And then you can see that these are resized strategically for LinkedIn and Facebook, because one of the big mistakes a lot of people make is that they think that the same sizing requirements apply to all these platforms. They're very different, and you need to make sure that they are natively structured for each of those platforms. Now let's go ahead and look at Nick. You can see Nick, again, up in his brand style sheet. You remember the honeycombs? Well, you can see that in his background. You can see on the right-hand side of his YouTube, call to action. The left-hand side, the social links, and then in the middle, who he serves, his headshot with his type logo, fully resized for each of these platforms. So this is really important, again, to see the comparison and contrast between each of them and how we tweak each one to make sure that depending on where each photo shows up, we've got the most attention on the call to actions to get the highest conversion from each of these graphics across each platform. And then when we look at Donica, she's got more of a bright, vibrant, very inviting look to her graphics, which I absolutely love. And you can see here, so we've got the call to action on the right-hand side. We've got who she serves over here in terms of buyers, sellers, investors, and she's a mentor for real estate agents. Absolute superstar. And then over here, we've got, again, which group she's a part of at the different brokerage, which is our group, the Wolfpack. You can see that we've got a beautiful headshot, and then we've got some sort of mission or one-liner, which is trusted, respected, recommended, which is a really unique flair to put on it, each resized to the different platforms. So as you can see, each one has very similar elements to it because these are proven to increase conversion and engagement, but each one simultaneously is very unique to emulate the personal brand of each of these individuals. Now, step 3 is going to be some of these strategic posts that you can use and templates or overlays that you can use on your social media posts on places like Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Now, what you see oftentimes is agents using very mediocre posts that are done in Canva, very simple banners, and not much of a call to action or personal branding element to those. It's good that they're getting it out there, but again, there's different things you can do to increase the conversion from every single one of your posts so that way when you're making them, you have a lot higher chance for people to be sending you DMs, comments, emails, texts, whatever the situation is, or whatever your call to action is. So that's what you can see here. So for open house, just listed and just sold. Usually, and you'll see this in Nick's example, where you would have a property photo here. So instead of just posting the property as a traditional post like most would, or just posting it with a very simple banner on it, you can see that on all of Jazz's posts that were related to his properties or his listings, you can see that it's got very good graphic work in terms of creating that top of mind personal brand awareness with his photo. You can see it's got the typical graphic work elements in the background from his brand style sheet. We've got his contact information and his website, his brokerage, and his type logo. Same goes for all of these different posts. That way, when he's making these posts about a new property, a new listing, a new open house, it has a much higher chance of converting into actual conversations instead of just posting the property saying, hey, look at this property. You can see this very clearly from Nick's, where if you look at Nick's, again, completely branded to him, using the same typography across the board with the property address, you've got his phone number, his email, and then you've got the logo up top here. So this is a really good way to look at how you can be taking your posts to the next level, because this strategy of increasing your personal brand across the board is what can you do so that every single thing you post online or every single thing that you do online has an opportunity to convert at a higher rate. Now, step number 4 is going to be some of the physical marketing that you need. And this can be used as digital marketing in terms of ebooks or PDFs that you can send to your clients or people that you're working with, prospects. But this is going to be the stuff that you can also leave at a property, outside of a property, you can bring to showings. And this is again where you can see it is ultra consistent across the board. So we've got a brochure here for Jazz where we can see this is what he would send out as like a mailer anytime he sells a property. And if you come down here and look at the brochures about the different flyers that he sends out or that he leaves at properties, you again can see, I can't stress this enough, the consistency of every single thing that he's doing. So that way, even if you see a piece of his physical marketing at an open house, at a listing with another agent, if you go Google his name online, you're going to instantly see that that is the same quality and same look and feel and style that you will see online across every single social platform. One of the big mistakes is that agents have Facebook dialed in and then their YouTube looks terrible and their LinkedIn is non-existent. But what we want to make sure is that if you're creating a strong top of mind personal brand that excites engagement, this is consistency. If we come over here and look at Nick, we can see that Nick also has all of his graphic work done here with his brokerage, with his logo. And this is something that's really cool here. And nobody else is really doing this. So we've got a couple strategic things that we actually do with QR codes on the physical marketing so that when people are looking at this physical marketing, we can actually convert it on the back end digitally to turn that into warm and hot leads. I won't get into how we do that. If you want to know that, again, you can book a call using the stuff in the description or the links down there. But this has been really cool and really effective for a lot of people that we've done this branding for. And then if we come over and look at Donica, again, really nice. We've got the darker style on the back with the QR code, again, for ultimate conversion. And then on the front, very relatable, very inviting, very neutral, and very brand focused. So this is really nice. And I think the physical marketing is where a lot of people start to cheap out. And by having that consistency, you'll see that it again creates that exciting consumer journey where they can see that as an agent, you've got it dialed in from every single aspect of your business. Now, number 5, let's talk about for sale signs. This is a really cool way where you can stand out. I will be completely honest. I'm at eXp Realty and I do not like any of their for sale signs. I think the graphics are terrible and I would not want that, to be honest, outside of my listing. But I'll be honest, I think every brokerage I've been at and every brokerage I've ever seen has terrible branding for their signage. And that's just my opinion, but this is a really unique way for you to differentiate yourself from other agents who are going to be using the traditional branding. So this way, even if you were at the same brokerage as another agent, your for sale signs, open house signs, just listed signs can look a cut above so that again, you differentiate yourself and people start to see very clearly that you were doing something different. So you can see here with Jazz, he again has the same graphic elements on his physical for sale signs with his type logo, with the nice graphic work using the color palette from his brand style sheet and the team logo and the brokerage logo and the contact information. If we come over here to Nick, this is actually a mock-up. We made some slight tweaks to it to include the brokerage information before we actually had it physically built, but you can see that he actually had a really cool for sale sign that we built out for him to again relate to the kind of country traditional professional style that he goes with the bolo tie, which is cool. And then with Donica, we did both directional signs and we did some for sale signs that are using the standard template. And if you look at eXp, you can go to a Google search, type in eXp Realty for sale signs, you'll see that they're very bland, very basic, very old school. And a lot of agents actually have this point of contingency when they're looking at joining eXp where they say, well, Mike, I don't like their branding. Okay, neither do I. Look at what we're doing for our group. And this is why the agents with us look completely different than the agents at eXp from any other group at the company. So we do this for a lot of people and I actually will help cover this for people who join us in certain situations as well. But again, having really good front-facing content in terms of the physical brochures and the for sale signs or the A-frames or directionals, this is going to be something where people see physically while they're walking by the property wow, that looks gorgeous. Then they look up your name. They find you on Facebook. They're, damn, that looks the same. And then they see you on LinkedIn or YouTube or Instagram and they're like, oh my gosh, this looks incredible across the board. Their quality is exceptional. I want that quality for my property. And it's not just theory. I got that exact feedback from tons of people when I was focusing more on production. So next what I want to talk about are the miscellaneous social media graphics that we do before we wrap up with some of the video elements that we do at the end here. So these, as you can see, look very basic, but what they are Instagram TV, IGTV, or story backgrounds. So traditionally when you do an IGTV or an Instagram story, it's a black background, very basic, very, ordinary. But what we do is we create these elements so that, again, there's a call to action and there's branding on any of the posts that you make on a vertical format on Instagram. And if we come down here, you can also see that we did really nice brand heavy, brand focused Instagram highlights for things like YouTube channel, for his team, for testimonials, for sold, for reviews, things like that, or his website. Now, if we look at Nick, you can see as well, we've got multitude of different graphics here that you can see very subtle differences. You can see his photos on one face over here, a different one here. We've got his logo up to the side over here with the hexagons or the honeycombs in the bottom, up here in the middle with the honeycombs at the top. But these are a couple different variations that you can use for the vertical IGTV in order to differentiate himself. And then when we come down here again, you can see very nice on point Instagram highlights for the group that he has sold. You've got testimonials and all kinds of stuff with his YouTube channel as well. And then finally, we've got Donica, which you can see here. Same, all different styles, so that depending on the type of content, if she wants to use this style for community tours, this style for property tours, this style for, community-driven value content, that can be done for a differentiator. And again, with the Instagram highlights that completely relate to her brand. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about, because there's not enough time to go through absolutely everything that we do, this is just a glimpse because I wanted to put this together, package it together to show you, are the video elements that we do. So aside from the digital graphic work that we do a lot of video elements for agents, which is custom call to actions, that the things that pop up, prompt people to go to your website, subscribe to you, check out a free guide that you have, the visuals that increase your conversion and engagement. But also we do custom video intros and custom video outros so that it's very consistent across each of the videos, but also it really impacts the quality of your content because it starts off with something very professional. So I won't show you Jazz's video here, but if we come, you can see an example of Nick's end screen. I won't show any of the YouTube intros on here just because I don't want to dive too deep into this stuff. If you want to know more or see more, you can look at this stuff in the description. But what this does is at the end of your video, it prompts people to go watch more. So it's a call to action to keep people on your channel, which increases your watch time, which increases your channel performance. And then YouTube takes your channel and starts to promote it to more people, and that's how it grows. So you can see here with Nick's end screen at the end of every single one of his videos, you've got a call to action to watch a specific video, and you can be very strategic about this to make sure that people are coming and on any video going to one specific one that you know converts very high with all of his accent elements from his brand style sheet, his logo, and call to actions to contact. And if we look at Donica, very similar thing where we've got a recommended video and next video, her graphic work here to keep her personal branding there, and a thank you note with some of the subtle graphic elements from her brand style sheet in the background. So as you can see, this is just a tiny glimpse into the brand work we do for agents. We've now worked with hundreds of agents. Every single person has given us insane feedback, and they're so impressed at the fact that they get a dedicated personal brand manager. They have instant access to us on Slack. They have a full team of graphic designers, copywriters, video editors, and we knock it out of the park every single time. So if you want to take this as inspiration and you want to go create your own personal brand somewhere else, by all means do that. I just wanted to show you an example of what you can use as reference to take your brand to the next level. And if you do want to talk about working with us and going to a completely new level that, to be honest, I couldn't even do myself, then feel free to check the links below. But otherwise, guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, I really appreciate your time. Please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you next time.